So I was at this cafe a few weeks ago. Small local place, mismatched chairs, maybe 15 tables. I got there early and just started looking around. Out of maybe 12, 13 people in there, I could count 2 who weren't on their phones. A couple next to me hadn't said a word to each other the whole time, both just scrolling, separately, at the same table. And then the barista called someone's name, twice. Before they looked up, I looked at that cafe and thought, this should feel like something. A warm, alive place with people in it, and instead it just felt like a waiting room. Everyone was there, but nobody was actually present. And look, none of this is new. We all know phones are a problem. There are documentaries, studies, probably 100 videos on this exact topic, including, I guess, this one. And everyone in that cafe had a smartphone, including me. So clearly just knowing isn't the issue. At some point, being on your phone stopped being a choice and just became the default. The thing you do when you sit down somewhere. The thing you reach for in the 2 seconds between ordering your coffee and the barista turning around. It's not a decision anymore. It's just what happens. I deleted Instagram once, maybe a year and a half ago. Felt really good about it. Lasted 11 days. Downloaded it again because I wanted to look something up and never deleted it after that. And I don't even think I use it that much. But every time I'm standing in line at a Chipotle or whatever, there it is, open, for no reason. You don't even know what you're looking for when you open it. There's no answer you're trying to find. You're just opening it because your brain wanted something to do for 15 seconds and the phone was right there. It's not addiction. It's just a habit so embedded most people don't even see it as one anymore. Here's something that doesn't get mentioned enough. Everyone talks about what the phone is doing to us, but not many people talk about what it replaced. What were we doing before? What happened in those gaps? You waited for someone at a restaurant and you just sat there, looked around, maybe eavesdropped on the table next to you, maybe thought about something you'd been meaning to talk about. You stood in line at the DMV for 45 minutes and you were just bored. Actually bored. And out of that boredom, your brain would do things, process stuff, wander, land on ideas. The kind of thinking that doesn't happen when you're being fed content constantly. You'd sit at a Denny's at like 11 p.m. with a couple of friends and just talk. Not because there was a specific thing to talk about, just because that's what you did. Conversation would go weird places. You'd end up discussing something you'd never normally bring up, and something about the night would stick with you. Those gaps, the waiting, the boredom, the unstructured time, we've felt all of them, every single one. And I don't think we noticed we were doing it. The phone didn't take anything by force. We handed it over, little by little, because in the moment it always felt like the easier option. And it was. That's the whole problem. So here's what that costs. A few months ago, I was at dinner with some friends. Sit-down Italian place. The kind where they bring you bread before you order. 3 of us at the table. And at some point, I looked up and all 3 of us were on our phones. Nobody had said anything for probably 4 or 5 minutes. And the thing that got me wasn't the silence. It was that none of us had noticed. We just drifted there separately without any decision being made. I put my phone down and looked at the breadbasket and thought, when did this become normal? Because it had probably been happening for a long time before I started paying attention. That's what we're actually losing. Not some big dramatic thing. Just the moments. The dinner. The bread. The conversation that might have happened in those 4 minutes. Multiply that by every meal. Every commute. Every time you're sitting with someone and you're both somewhere else. That's a lot of life passing while you were technically present. You ever get to the end of a week and feel like nothing happened? I think it's this. When you move through your days with one eye always somewhere else, of course it blurs. You weren't really in it. And it's not just distraction. It's what you're being distracted by. You open Twitter and within 30 seconds you've seen something that stressed you out, something that made you angry, something that made you feel behind, and an ad for something you didn't know existed 2 minutes ago. And you keep scrolling because your brain is still looking for the thing that's gonna make all of that feel okay. It doesn't come. You just get more of the same. You open Reddit and fall into a thread about something awful. You close it. You open TikTok. Funny for a while, then sad, then someone telling you about a study that says the thing you've been doing is bad for you. You close TikTok. You open your messages. Nobody's texted. You close that. You open Instagram. Look at 3 stories. Close it. 10 minutes later, you do all of it again. That cycle doesn't leave you rested or informed or entertained. It leaves you hollow, stimulated but empty. Like you ate a lot of something and still feel hungry. And then you try to sleep and your brain is still running. So you lie there and you can't sleep. And then you pick up the phone because you can't sleep. And then it's 1 a.m. and you've been on it for another 40 minutes. You know this while you're doing it. That's the part that gets me. You know it, and you do it anyway. I think the real world is genuinely more interesting than what's on that screen. It's just quieter. And somewhere along the way, we started confusing quiet for empty. A few months ago, I left my phone at home by accident. I was heading out on a Saturday morning, got to the end of my street, realized it wasn't in my pocket, and I just kept walking. Part of me was curious what would happen. The first 20 minutes were genuinely uncomfortable. I kept reaching into my pocket and there was nothing there. I walked into a Pret, sat down with my coffee, and felt like everyone could tell I didn't have a phone, which is insane. Nobody cared. But my brain had decided I was conspicuous for just sitting there. And then something shifted. I started actually looking at things. There was a building across the street I'd walked past probably 100 times and never noticed it had these old stone carvings above the second floor windows. I have no idea what they were, but they'd been there the whole time. There was a guy at the table next to me reading a physical paperback, fully in it, not looking up, not checking anything. And I realized I hadn't seen someone do that in public in a really long time. I sat there for about an hour and a half, just drinking my coffee, watching things, thinking about stuff I'd been meaning to think about. Nothing happened, but by the time I left, I felt clearer, like something had settled. And then I got home and had 17 notifications, a few texts, some emails, a couple of app alerts, nothing that mattered, nothing that couldn't have waited 90 minutes. I gave this thing so much of my attention, and it had nothing important to give me back. There's a difference between knowing something and feeling it. That morning, I actually felt it. I know what some people are thinking. My phone keeps me connected. I use it for work. I stay in touch with people I care about. And I'm not saying that's wrong, but there's a difference between using your phone and living in it. The problem isn't the tool. It's that most of us have no real relationship with how we use it. No intention, no limit. It's just always open. And most of what you're consuming when you're scrolling isn't making you more informed. It's making you more activated, more reactive. Being genuinely informed is calm and useful. Being in a constant state of reacting to things is just exhausting. Pick your thing, one thing, maybe two, something you can actually do something about, and let the rest go. So what do you actually do? I'm not going to give you a numbered list because I don't think that's how this works. Stop bringing it everywhere. Leave it in your bag at the cafe. Leave it in the car when you go for a walk. Next time you're at a sit-down dinner, somewhere like an Olive Garden, somewhere casual, leave it in your pocket the whole meal. You'll be uncomfortable for the first 10 minutes, and then you'll start actually talking to whoever you're with. Notice what you're doing when you're on it. Ask yourself, did I just choose to open this, or did I just end up here? There's a version of using your phone that's intentional and fine. What most people are doing most of the time is something else. Just drifting, not looking for anything, not finding anything, just filling time. And get comfortable being bored. Sit somewhere without your phone and just be there. It'll feel weird. Your brain will complain. But boredom is where your brain rests, processes things, has ideas. We've engineered it out of existence, and I think that's making us worse in ways we haven't fully measured yet. None of this requires deleting everything or going off grid. It's just about having a more honest relationship with something you use every single day. Anyway, I've been thinking about this a lot since that morning I left my phone at home, and since that afternoon in the cafe watching that couple sit in silence together. I don't think the phone is evil. I think it's just a thing that happened gradually, and we're only now starting to understand what it costs. Your life is happening right now, in the room you're in, with the people in front of you, and the hours passing while you're looking at something else. And it'd be a real shame to miss most of it. I went back to that cafe last week. Same place, same mismatched chairs, and I noticed there was a small sign near the counter, handwritten, propped up next to the sugar. It said, "Be here," 2 words. I don't know who wrote it or how long it had been there, but I thought, yeah, that's kind of the whole thing, isn't it? If you got something out of this, subscribe. It genuinely helps more than you'd think. Drop a comment if something landed, or if you think I'm completely wrong. I'll see you in the next one.